Congratulations, Leo. Like I
Thank you
say,
so
fantastic
much.
job in this. And, I want to know, what's your biggest challenge when you take on a biopic, but especially when you're playing somebody as important and controversial as J. Edgar was?
The biggest challenge was something that was very clearly defined in the screenplay for me, was how do you not necessarily sympathize but empathize with this human being, and not even necessarily empathize, but how do you understand his motivations and how that manifested itself into politics. And it was very intriguing to discover Dustin Lance Black's screenplay, because here, for the first time, I kind of understood what motivated him. At a very young age, he was, his mother wanted him to rise to great power in politics and carry on the Hoover name to great glory. And he was a young boy genius, and so he came into this bureau and really transformed our country and really organized modern forensics and, rid our country of communist radicals and captured all the outlaws and really put a face on a federal system of police enforcement that to this day is incredibly intimidating.
Yeah, pretty intimidating, that's for sure. But did you grow to like him or respect him, or what did you feel about him after you finished this?
My politics aren't in line with his. I think that, he had a very right-wing sort of Puritan view on how to protect democracy in our country at any means necessary. But I believe that he was a great patriot, and I believe that he was there to protect our country at all costs. Of course, he stayed in power for way too long, which was, the great tragedy of his career. 50 years and 8 presidents. He should have been gone long ago. By the time the civil rights movement was coming about and our country was changing for the better, he went ahead and tried to politically attack Martin Luther King and take down that movement and label it as a communist uprising, which was absurd.
Yeah, totally absurd. Okay, what makes Clint Eastwood probably one of the best directors around, from your opinion?
He's a man that implicitly trusts his own instincts, and it's a pretty phenomenal thing to witness every single day. He has a very tight-knit crew of people that he's been working with for years, movie veterans, so to speak, and he sees what he sees in his little monitor, and he watches what's in front of him, and he either likes it or he doesn't. We either move on or he gives you direction right then and there. He doesn't have a lot of advisors, and you could tell he's a man that likes to sort of plant his feet and speak the truth, and he expects you to do the same as an actor. So it makes you trust your own gut as well.
Bring your A game, that's for sure, for somebody like that. How on earth did you endure that makeup process?
Well, all 3 of us had to. It was, probably 6 hours every day. And it took away from some of the shooting time, and it was very complicated to try to inhabit that older version of J. Edgar Hoover, and for all the other actors, too. Not just the makeup and the prosthetic, but to be able to walk into a room and talk to, Robert F. Kennedy as if he was a young political upstart who didn't know the first thing about the state of the world or politics to begin with. It was to have that sort of political command was the most challenging thing, but I took a lot of inspiration from Clint too. He helped me out a lot with it, and he told me how I should move, how I should act, and he was the main inspiration for a lot of
And he
that.
showed you guys how to fight. That fight scene with
too.
Wow! Yeah. Having Clint Eastwood at 81 do a fight scene, Leo.
No, he isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. That's for sure. And we did that whole sequence, and he brought his stunt coordinator in that he'd been working with for 4 decades, and they reenacted our fight scene for us. And Army and I couldn't help but stand there and have a huge grin on our face as we were watching that.
Totally. The one scene that moved me beyond tears was the scene with Judi Dench when she talks about Daffy and I'd rather have a dead son. That scene is unbelievable, and then it shows. It's in that one scene about whether he was gay or not or whatever. I mean, it really showed how much influence his mother had on him.
Absolutely. His mother had a tremendous amount of influence on him, but, I love the way all the relationships were handled in this movie. It was done with incredible class, because whether any of these things were requited on a physical level almost remains none of our business. What we do know is that these men committed their life and of service to their country, as did Helen Gandy. None of them had a relationship of any kind with another person, no family, no love in their life. They devoted their entire life to their country, but they were people. It was a different era and time that wouldn't have been socially acceptable even if they were. But I just felt that it was handled with a lot of class, and it still remains a mystery to this day. I couldn't tell you either way what happened between those men.
Totally agree. Very quickly, big anniversary for Titanic coming up. Unbelievable. James Cameron releasing it in 3D. Are you excited to see that?
Oh, very much so. I haven't seen a frame of it yet, but I hear it looks fantastic, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
So will we. And thank you for this. You were spectacular in this.
Thank you
Great
so
job.
much.